Welcome. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get right to it. I don't want to waste all your times. I want to say thank you for watching Screen Fiend. And don't forget, you guys can subscribe at any time. That balloon just let me know that the notification did go out to you guys. So it's working. So definitely subscribe, hit the notification bell, and select all whenever you get a chance so you will not miss any episodes that we put out. Now, Captain America Civil War. This had the most changes of any Marvel film to date. There are so many scripts and rewrites for this film that the actors were getting frustrated. There almost was no Spider-Man in this film, no Captain America. I mean, not Captain America, but Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr.'s script was over. So he was doing one movie roles and that's it. The end of his contract was up and he was done. So after Iron Man 3, he was pretty much a free agent. So Age of Ultron, and all of these things that came to fruition. Oh yeah, that's why he's one of the richest actors in Hollywood now. Because he started making once Marvel started blowing up, he was a very intricate plot of making that happen. So his contract ended at the right time. They had two Avenger movies in the bag with him. Now his restructuring of his contract is what led him to make almost $100 million off of the last film. So while they were negotiating, he was thinking about quitting. And he was done playing Iron Man. So him being in Civil War was not guaranteed. So while they tried to negotiate with him, it was tough. And one of the producers didn't even want him at all. He didn't want to deal with Robert Downey Jr. He was really frustrated, and Kevin Feige was like so sick of it because on his end, he's dealing with Sony and they dealing with Spider-Man. And they're trying to get Spider-Man loaned out for the film. And they're playing hardball. So it's two major negotiations are taking place and they're getting closer and closer to deadlines and pretend principal photography. So people got scripts. There's a lot of actors in here to deal with. And each one of them have their own managers and each one have their own diva settings and they want to feel special in this film. So not only are they debuting Spider-Man, they're actually debuting Black Panther in this film. So this was very interesting. Now, the reason why the finished product, a lot of people were not happy with how the finished product was. Like, I like Civil War. It's one of my favorites out of the films. I loved all the Captain America films. I thought they had more grit, more bite to it, had more purpose, character arc, everything. That's why the Russos end up becoming like the lead on all of the storylines for Marvel because of what they did with Captain America. Now, the first script of Civil War well, the ending, that's because a lot of changes happened in the script to warp it around Iron Man. When they redid the script had to be done. They had a script ready in case Iron Man wasn't ready or wasn't going to be in the film. Zemo was going to create a chemical that was going to make all the Avengers go crazy and fight each other, which was going to lead to the Civil War. So the Accords was always going to be used in all of the scripts. They were going to use the Avengers Accords and everything else. That was going to be a part to bridge the conflict between the two. And when Zemo comes in and starts doing his trickery to cause the divide, all of those elements of, disagreement is going to come to the forefront. Now, without the script, without Spider-Man and Iron Man, was an old Iron Man 3 script that they had that included Zemo as the villain and not the Mandarin or the fake Mandarin that they had. You remember Guy Pearce played like Lava Man who could just cut through all Tony's armors? The extremist. Right, then he got his injured heart fixed. So, I mean, the ending was pretty nice. The way he drove off, said, I am Iron Man. It was good because part three was going to be the end of it until they did part two, and that was it. So after the Age of Ultron, that was supposed to be Tony's last ride. Now, a lot of people said, oh, Cap's going to die in Civil War, which is not going to happen. They weren't going to have that happen here. Who's going to win, Cap or Iron Man? Team Cap, Team Iron Man. Once they made the changes I thought in the rewrites were great. Adding the element of Tony's separation or the anxiety that he has with his father being gone and the absence of that. And we also see that it wasn't really his father that he really mourned the most. It was the fact that his mom died alongside the father. They both died together. Sort of like Bruce Wayne in the Batman story. Both parents gone at the same time. So here it is, you're losing both parents. Well, Chris Evans did wonderful with his contract. His contract got extended and was covered until the end, where he actually retired from being Captain America. So he's ready to move on and do other things. Me, I'll be like, where are you going to get 20 plus million doing a film? But he want to do other things. He don't want to be typecast as just Captain America. And believe me, his other projects are epic. Snowpiercer, epic. Now, in the other script they had, Zemo working with the Winter Soldier, turning the Winter Soldier into one of his. They had the script just like what he did in here when he made him go work for him, but he actually was working alongside of him, and he wasn't in captivity or captured by these guys, and it wasn't a conflict of Captain America trying to protect the Winter Soldier from Captain America. You know, this is what was going to bring over Black Panther. They was going to come in there. The Winter Soldier was going to set the bomb, blow everything up. It wasn't going to be a fake the way they end up making it, which was terrible. It was supposed to actually be the Winter Soldier that did it. And the arc was going to be the Black Panther not killing Bucky. Yeah, so it was the war was actually, yep, thanks, Ulysses. Ulysses Griffin. Well, yeah, that was the whole thing. Black Panther, you're right, Black Panther was supposed to be the one that wanted to kill Barnes the most. Just like they had it in the movie, but it was actually Barnes who did it in the original script. It wasn't Zemo dressing up in some fake makeup and all this stuff using technology. That was spotty writing. Him living in a hotel with some guy, he stole his identity and killed him in the hotel, and then he faked like he was Barnes. No, he mind warped the Winter Soldier to do what he did. And then you see he activated him, and he was supposed to go and do what he just did when he activated him. And he ended up setting a bomb which blew off and killed the Prince of Wakanda's father, in which T'Challa had to learn to curb his anger and use logic. And said, once he found out he was being controlled by Zemo. And that's when he gives the speech to Zemo at the end. But it wasn't about Tony's father. Tony, when they wrote that part in there where the Winter Soldier was the one that took out the parents and all that, to write around and include Tony going at it with Captain America. Because they had to have a script once he was ready. So all of that was just written in there. All the stuff with Tony was written up and thrown in there just in case. The Sokovia Accords was all about sovereignty and what happened which was an international crisis, which Captain America was partly responsible for, is why Scarlet Witch, Captain America, and Bucky were on T'Challa's bad side. They were not allies. Because Captain America was basically partially responsible for the bombing that brought the president of Wakanda there. So T'Challa ended up fighting with them, and Captain America, Iron Man ends up on that side of the fence because they're like, look, we're about country and law. These accords are needed because of what happened in Sokovia and all these things here, and then what happened out there, you know, on this mission that you guys did. Tony wasn't a part of that mission. And he felt like I should have been there because it's partly my responsibility. You know, I'm an Avenger and I wasn't on that mission. And that happened, not on my watch. But I bear the burden of the blame. So the burden he was carrying was over what happened to those people in Wakanda because he felt I failed them by not being there. I'm doing speeches and they're doing missions and I wasn't there, and this happened. Cap felt, I mean, he felt like this wouldn't have happened had he been there. All of this stuff was cut out of the film. They added a piece in the beginning where Tony was teaching to give light to what their story was going to be, foreshadowing what was to come later on. And I love that added addition with the technology with young Tony and what he was going through with the parents, because they're now finna connect that. But all of this, that was added on. This was all added on, part of the script, things that they wanted to do. It was not part of the original script of Civil War. The original opening of Civil War was what you saw when they went on that mission. And Black Panther was the one that was the angry guy, T'Challa, as because his father died after they just had people die from a Avengers mission that went wrong with Captain America. So Captain America didn't show up because he was at a funeral. So T'Challa took that as disrespect, that Captain America wasn't there. And the king also thought it was disrespectful that he didn't show up to the meeting. And then when the bomb goes off and kills the father, T'Challa thinks Captain America wasn't there because his friend Barnes, they're working together. So naturally, they became the enemy. That script made more sense. It had more bite. Bucky was the one that did the bombing. They see the footage is actually the Winter Soldier. And Captain America goes to protect him and wants him to turn himself in. And he'll try to explain his case, but he wants him to come in without violence. Everybody else wants to terminate him. And he wants to do the American way by law and bring him in alive because he thinks something else is going on here. And something else was Zemo. Zemo had the code, which could activate him whenever he wanted. And Zemo was really good with technology and really good at staying protected and hitting. Now, all of these things about more Winter Soldiers and all this army of, Winter Soldiers and all that stuff, this was all added nonsense. The VHS tape, all added nonsense to show them taking out or killing Tony's parents, all added to put Captain America, give him an arc to be angry at Cap in Barnes. When his original arc was the fact that he was sticking up and he was going through a guilt trip over what had happened and where those kids were lost their lives due to the explosion that took place with Wanda. And everybody wanted Wanda sitting back to her the country she was from and all of these things, and didn't want her to have asylum here in the United States, that she's too dangerous. She's a bomb. She could go off at any time. She's too dangerous. So you had a lot of different arcs in that original Marvel script. Wanda going through the immigration, policy and how people turned on them. And now she's an immigrant. They had scopes with people with signs, big racial sign protests like "Go Home." I think they kind of glanced on it a little bit in Marvel, like on a TV screen. You kind of saw little flashes of it, but on a storyboard, you could see it was much more vicious. People hating and calling for Wanda to go and all these things. So Vision is to keep an eye on her so that people don't try to get around her or hurt her. So that's why Tony wanted to keep her at the facility so that she don't have to walk around, or if someone tries to fight her or hit her with rocks, shoot at her or something, and it turns into another worse situation. Because see, Tony is not only Tony Stark, Iron Man, he's also businessman Tony Stark, public image man. So signing the Accords was a no-brainer for him once the Sokovia thing happened, and then the thing that happened when the mission went left with Cap. The guilt had hit him because he wasn't there. And that's the same thing that had him in Avengers 2. His guilt. He's always felt guilty about something, and his guilt leads him into action. And that was his arc. So he joined T'Challa to get Barnes because he felt Cap was too emotionally attached. He don't see it. That Barnes he's got to go down. He's not, he's got to go. He's done too much and he's got to go down, and there's the only way that can go. But Zemo is the guy that can control him. So T'Challa is fighting the Winter Soldier while he's the Winter Soldier and not Bucky. And Cap is fighting Iron Man. And in the original fight scene, Cap is the one that almost rips off his metal, his arc reactor. Actually, that's what he actually does. He crushes the arc reactor. That's how the fight ends. That's the way he did it here. He did it with his shield. He did it with his hand in the original. The Winter Soldier and Iron Man never fought each other. It was only Cap and Iron Man fighting each other. It wasn't a 3-man fight. It was a 4-man fight with Zemo looking on. And right when he was going to take the life of Bucky, the Winter Soldier, and then knocking him out, and he slashed his face with his claws. He was getting ready to go for the kill strike and realized that this guy was not who he was. He was being mind controlled. So it would be like murder. He had no idea once he changed back to Bucky. He had no idea what was going on. And Zemo was the guy. So what you see at the top is when T'Challa chases him down and catches up to him, and Zemo was about to take his own life. And he stops him. This is the original script. Spider-Man was an add-on scene. All that was added on. Bringing Spider-Man in, the whole Queens thing, and adding Spider-Man to the script. That's what they did. And they did a great job adding that whole Spider-Man scene and gave some levity to it, some comedy. They did a great job adding it. But they altered the script once they got Iron Man in, and they had to change the arc of having it about Black Panther and bringing it into the, T'Challa becoming king and becoming the man, growing up, maturing. Because what we learn here in Civil War is that he's not mature. He's actually immature and hothead. And his father was trying to tell him he has to learn the balance. You got to learn how to not just react off anger. And what you saw a lot in here, he was reacting off anger. So it was much more interesting in the other scripts. It's much more bite to it. Yeah, Captain America, Tony almost kills Cap when they first started. He gets all Cap's fighting patterns, and he's already got them mapped out, and he switches it on to like attack mode, and that's just like they did in the movie, and he just goes all the way off on Cap, blocking everything Cap does. He goes top notch, Pop, 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 breaks Cap all the way down. And Cap is on both knees. And he says, "This is it." He knocks the shield out of his hand, everything, and tells him, "This is it. End of the road." Like, don't make me do this. And he's like, "I can do this all night long. Like, I can do this all night." Once he says that famous Cap line, then he goes fine. Pow. Then he grabs Tony's arm. He jumps up, grabs Tony's arms, does like an axe kick, comes down on Tony's head, crushes Tony's. He crushes Tony's hand with the blades, crushes it, so he can't fire. Reaches and grabs the arc reactor and pulls it out of Tony's chest, which shuts him down, which shows Cap's power, how strong Cap was. In the movie, that changed to show that Cap used the shield to do it. So in the original script, Cap beat him without the shield. He grabbed his hands, crushed the blast that was coming from his hand, crushed it by squeezing Tony's hand. Grabbed that arc reactor and pulled it out. Now, I like the fight scene when they added Barnes to it, but the original fight scene, this is the footage, what you're seeing is from the original fight scene. The original fight scene was just Cap and Iron Man. There was no Winter Soldier. So they still used this shot because they had to get the iconic shot going. But this was the first shot that was taken. From their original battle. Yeah, everybody's story had more arc to it. One of the producers was mad. I think his name's Ivan. He did not want Robert Downey Jr. in the film playing Iron Man. He was to the point where he was going to just have another guy in an Iron Man suit playing Iron Man, and you never get to see his face. He was at that point, or just taking him completely out of the movie. That's how frustrated he was dealing with just getting Robert Downey Jr. to commit to doing Iron Man. To do Civil War. It was crazy. And they paid him a king's salary just to come back to do the movie when he barely was in the suit. This is the least amount of time he spent in the suit for Iron Man. And he was paid a king's salary. So a Vision story. Well, we're gonna get that with WandaVision, so we're gonna see what's gonna happen here. And they say this might lead into a lot of mystics of the arts, and a lot of bits in here gonna end up popping up in movies. So we'll see what's happening. Disney Plus, of course, the COVID-19 has slowed everything down. So you can't really blame, all what's happening, but stay tuned, man. Stay tuned. Don't forget, you can support the page by hitting up the Cash App, Carcino, and I'm out.